Lucas and Hudson are walking. Which one of them isn't very smart? It's Hudson. He's staring at the screen of his phone and can miss that cliff and fall over. Even though Lucas is blind, he still has his stick. With its help, he'll know about the edge of the cliff as soon as he reaches it. He's safe. Opal is spending a vacation climbing the mountains. Karis is climbing Everest. Can you tell which one of them isn't smart? It's Opal. Look, she's forgotten about the safety rope and is climbing without it. Not good. Gabriel and Archer are bloggers who take selfies in dangerous places. This time, Gabriel is taking a selfie while surfing a huge wave, and Archer has chosen to take one while standing on the edge of the bridge above the lake. Who is not being careful? It's Gabriel. They're both doing very risky things, but at least Archer has some people around who can help him if something happens. Gabriel is alone in the ocean. It's a very early morning after a party. Egan and Bradley are driving their children to college. Can you tell who's not smart? Egan. His son isn't even in the car. Delilah and Ellery are on vacation. Both of them decided to learn something new. Delilah is skiing in the forest, and Ellery is practicing skating on the lake. Who's in danger? It's Ellery. Look, the ice on the lake is cracking, and there's no one around to help her. She should get out of there as fast as possible. Ariana and Eliza are getting ready for a barbecue party they're hosting. Ariana is making salads outside, and Eliza is decorating the house and the garden. Who's not being smart? It's Ariana. While she's busy with the salads, the meat is going bad in the sun. Karis, a mother of 4, returned home and saw that all the teenagers were quietly doing their own stuff. The oldest one, Amanda, was playing Uno, Gabriella was reading, Haven was painting. What was Ainsley doing? Ainsley was playing Uno with Amanda. Take a look at these guys and tell who is behaving stupidly. All the guys on the left, they will all fall in the end. The only guy who will stay on the tree is the one on the right. Detective Callum was spending his holiday in Hawaii. He was having his evening coffee on the terrace when he heard some noise and a scream. The balcony door of the room next to his was open, so he walked in and asked what had happened. A young actress, Chanel, was staying there. She said some man dressed in black and wearing a mask broke into her room and tried to take her away. She screamed and the criminal ran away, disappearing in the hallway. The actress asked Detective Callum to find the man immediately. But the detective said Chanel could try to fool someone else, and he'd rather return to his coffee. Why didn't he believe the girl? Look at the door of the actress's room. Lots of boxes are blocking it. If the man had indeed run out of the door, he'd have pushed all the stuff out of his way. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to open it. The girl just tried to make up some drama to get media attention. Adam came to his PE class and told the teacher that, unfortunately, he couldn't work out. He broke his arm the other day. But Adam had a bad reputation. The teacher didn't believe him and told the guy to stop fooling around. Do you believe Adam? Look, he has a cast on his arm, but it's placed over his jacket. It must be fake. Mrs. Miller reported that someone in the neighborhood had run up to her and stolen her bag. The authorities interrogated all the neighbors. Bryce said he had been away. "I came home less than a minute ago." Arden said she'd spent all day at home and hadn't been outside. Easton said he had taken his dog for a walk, but he didn't steal anything or see anything strange. The authorities arrested one person. Who? They arrested Bryce. He said he'd just come home, but the water in the pot on the stove is boiling. He must have been at home for a while already. Ames worked in a clock store. One day he called the police. When they arrived, Ames told them he had been working when the electricity suddenly went off. He tried to solve the problem by himself first. Then he called the police. They soon figured out what had happened, and the lights were on again. Ames immediately checked the cash desk. Apparently, while the lights were off, someone broke into the store and stole all the money. But the police didn't believe him and arrested the man. Why? In the store, there were mechanical and electric clocks, but the difference between the time they display is just 10 minutes. Mechanical clocks don't stop when the electricity is off. It means that the lights were off only for about 10 minutes. Ames must have switched the electricity off by himself and then called the police. Nelson was a writer. He was always disturbed by teenagers gathering outside his house and couldn't focus. One day, the man called the police. When they arrived, he said someone had thrown a stone at his office window. He asked the police to officially prohibit the teenagers from coming anywhere close to his house. But the detective didn't believe him. Why? Look, the glass is broken at the bottom, but this part of the window is protected by the balcony outside. Nelson must have broken the window himself to accuse the teenagers. A family was on vacation, and they had no idea what day it was. Dad said, I'm pretty sure it's either Monday or Tuesday. Mom added, all I know is that it wasn't Wednesday yesterday. Jake said, it must be Wednesday, or the weekend. Sienna was in doubt. Maybe it's Friday. Ruby said, Friday is tomorrow. Can you tell what day it is if only one statement is true? According to Dad, it's Monday or Tuesday. According to Mom, it's any day other than Thursday. So it might be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Jake is sure it's Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday. Sienna claims it's Friday, and according to Ruby, it's Thursday. The only day that is mentioned only once is Thursday. It means Ruby is right. Paige and Quinley were sisters. They were hanging out together in their room. Quinley had a crush on a guy from her school. She decided to write him a letter. Paige thought it was a bad idea, but Quinley wouldn't listen to her. Once she was almost done, Quinley went downstairs to get some tea. When she returned, the letter was gone. Paige said that a gust of wind suddenly blew in and the letter flew out of the window. But Quinley didn't believe her and asked Paige to give her the letter back. How did she figure out her sister had taken the letter? When the wind blows inside a room from the outside, nothing can possibly fly out of the window. Colton got into an accident and had memory loss. Kennedy and Isla both claimed to be his girlfriend. They took the guy to the place where they had their first date. Each of the girls hoped Colton would decide she was his real girlfriend. Have you figured out who the guy dated? Look, there are initials painted on the tree, saying C plus I. It means Colton's girlfriend is Isla. In a hotel, someone robbed a rich gentleman. The only witness was Joseph, a cleaning man working in the hotel. He was tidying a room nearby at the time of the robbery. The detective asked the man if he had seen anything. Joseph said, "When I heard the noise, I was going to enter the room, but then the door opened and hit me on the head. I couldn't see for a while." Joseph even showed the police officer a bruise on his forehead. The detective didn't believe Joseph, though, and arrested him for assisting the robber. Why? The door couldn't hit Joseph because it opens inwards, so he lied. After an accident, Karis was staying in the hospital. Only relatives were allowed to visit her. But 3 guys wanted to see the girl: her boyfriend, a classmate who was in love with her, and her brother. Each of them said he was her brother. Take a look at the guys' identity cards and try to figure out who her brother is. Her brother must be Philip. The age difference between Karis and Colton is 4 months, and between Karis and Nero, 5. Such an age gap is too small for them to be siblings. Maddox came to the police station to report his cousin Damon. The guy asked Maddox if he could stay with him for a couple of days. In the evening, Damon asked the host to bring him some fruit from the basement. When Maddox went there, Damon locked him inside. There was no electricity and no light in the basement, and Maddox didn't have a single gadget with him that could help him out. 2 days later, at 4 a.m., he heard his cousin drive away. It was only later that day that he managed to get out, thanks to a postman. Maddox found out that all his money had been stolen. But the police officers didn't believe him. Why? Maddox said he hadn't had any gadgets to check the time. It was also too dark to see anything on a regular clock. Then how could he figure out when exactly his cousin drove away? Wow. While working late at night in a top-secret laboratory, Michael finally managed to create the DNA of a hybrid monstrous creature. After all that hard work, he decided to grab a quick coffee and donut as a little reward. But he came back and saw that the specimen had disappeared from the incubator. Michael lined up Ryan, Jeff, and Laura and confronted them. Who took an important top-secret piece of research I was working on? Ryan said he'd been busy doing some additional research on a separate project and had no idea what was going on. Jeff said he hadn't touched the hybrid creature and had been in the archives digging through some files he needed. And Laura said she'd been in the bathroom the whole time. So, who took the specimen? Michael never mentioned that he was dealing with a hybrid monstrous creature. Jeff just let himself get caught. Better think smart next time. Anne absolutely loathes winter, but just like anyone else, she has to go out and do stuff. She had just moved to a snowy city for work and experiences some of the coldest winters. But she managed to make it to the mall to do some quick shopping through a huge blizzard. When she came back to her parked car, she discovered that someone broke into it and took her belongings. When the police lined up the 3 suspects, they each gave their stories. Francesca said she had been polishing her car outside and didn't know anything. Ned said he had been shopping for clothes, and Earl said he'd been sitting in a cafe on the upper floor of the mall. The police arrested the suspect. Who was it? Francesca. She was polishing her car outside in the middle of a blizzard? That's not only illogical, but not safe either. She just gave herself away. You wake up and find yourself trapped in a room with 4 doors in front of you. You don't have enough time to choose which door leads to freedom. You hear a monster coming, so you check out the doors quickly. The leftmost door has a sign on it saying, "Take the door on the right to break free." The second door also has a sign saying, "It's the right door." The third door has a sign, "Freedom is just right in front of you." And the last door has a sign, "Don't trust the signs." Which door should you choose? The last door. It says not to trust the signs, but it doesn't mean that they're lying. The first door says to take the door on the right, not necessarily the last door on the right, but just the one on the right. The second one says it's the right door, not the correct door, but the right door, as in the door on the right. The third door says freedom is just right in front of you. That just doesn't make any sense, does it? So it's the last door on the right that leads to freedom. Mason was extremely happy when he got the news that his sister Jane was coming to town. He had just started a new job and couldn't wait to host her for the first time. She was only able to see some nice pictures of the places he visited, including where he lived. When he picked her up from the airport, he noticed something slightly off about her. She was robotic with her responses and seemed stiff with her movements. She wouldn't eat and only insisted that she wanted to rest up. Strange. Had he been watching too much sci-fi? After a while, Mason hears a knock on the door, and to his surprise, it's Jane. But I thought… Jane tells him that the Jane in his apartment is an imposter. When the Jane in the bedroom goes out and sees the other Jane sitting on the couch, they're both in shock. They both try to convince Mason that they're the real Jane. But who will Mason believe? It's pretty normal to come back from a trip pretty tired and wanting to rest. But how did the second Jane know where Mason lived without prior knowledge? And she didn't even break a sweat running up to the apartment. On a nice day, Vivian, who lived in a town on the seashore, decided to go for a hike alone. But after hours of trekking, she ended up on a section of the forest she wasn't familiar with. Before her were 3 paths. One path had bare footprints leading away. Another had human shoe prints, and the third was right by the river. Which one should Vivian take to find her way? The river path. Since she lives in a coastal town, the river mouth most likely ends up in the sea. That way, she could figure out where she is. Melissa is sharing a train car with 3 other people. It's a very hot day and the air conditioner doesn't even work. James starts complaining and only calms down after opening the window. Melissa lays down her red silk scarf her grandmother gave her next to her. Judith compliments it. Robert, a senior, mentions that he forgot to bring a gift for his wife who will pick him up from the train station. James has a crush on Judith. After a while, Melissa goes to the bathroom and comes back to find the scarf missing. Who was the one who took it? None of them. It was a hot day and James opened the window. The wind sent the scarf flying right out of it. Some zombies have Diego trapped in a room. They're surrounding him. He's stuck and can't escape. Their arms are breaking in and reaching for him. When Diego looks around, he realizes that he's in a small newspaper stand with magazines and pocketbooks. And looking around him more attentively, he finds a roll of tape nearby. How can he avoid those nasty bites? The only way for Diego to escape will be to tape those magazines around crucial parts of his body where they can't lay his teeth on him. It'll be light enough for him to run away from the zombies without getting hurt. Plus, he'll have plenty of reading material for the road. Evan got lost in a forest, and just his luck, it was snowing. The only thing the police searching for him found were 4 parallel lines leading into the forest. Something doesn't seem right, they thought, and took several people into questioning. Nick said he had been at the store buying some groceries. Vanessa said she had been babysitting. Christina had been at work the whole time. After hearing the stories, they arrested Nick. Why? Nick was in a wheelchair. The 4 parallel lines were left by Nick rolling into the forest and back out. It's the beginning of a new school year, and Dave started a new job as a computer studies teacher at a local high school. Another fellow teacher, Roy, didn't really welcome him because he wanted that position. But at the end of the day, there was a security breach which leaked out a lot of important information about the school. When the police questioned everyone, including Roy and Dave, they each gave their stories. Dave said, "I was checking exam papers and was at the staff room the whole time." Roy said, "I was preparing homework for my classes when everything happened." Who should the police arrest? Who was lying? Dave. There wouldn't be any exams on the first day of school. Gareth is in a pickle. He's at the police station looking at the lined-up suspects, one of whom stole Beth's bag while she was having a picnic in the park. He observes them. Beth describes the culprit as someone big, no hair, and wearing a black jacket. All the men lined up matched the description. Gareth looks at each of them, and they all have one distinct trait that makes them stand out from each other. Suspect number 1 has a beard. Number 2 is wearing shorts. And number 3 is wearing glasses. Gareth knows immediately who to arrest. Who is it? Suspect number 1 has dirt all over his boots. The rest are all clean. He ran through the mud tracks while Beth was having a picnic. Harry wakes up inside a simulated reality. An AI voice tells him that he needs to complete a series of tasks in order to get back to his normal life. 3 doors are projected in front of him. The first has a huge hammer that smashes anything that passes by it. The second door leads to a corridor filled with electric pipes. And behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the place. He has 2 seconds to choose one of the doors. Which one should he pick? He should choose the third door. Since he's wearing shoes, he'll be all right. He goes through that door and ends up in a cage. Inside, there are 3 rescue buttons. The red button will open the cage immediately, but it also simultaneously opens a cage with a hungry lion. The blue one will open the cage in 10 minutes, but it will also open hundreds of water pipes. The orange button will open the cage in 5 minutes, but it will also set the place on fire. Which of the buttons should he press? He should press the blue one. I mean, since it's a cage, it won't fill up with water. As soon as his cage opens, he is free to swim away. Then he finds himself at a crossroads. There are 3 different paths, and he needs to figure out which one to take. The first path is filled with smoking coal. The second path has frozen ice all over it. And the third path has pretty sharp nails. Which one should he choose? He should definitely choose the middle path. Even if the ice doesn't melt during daytime, it's pretty easy to go through it. It looks like Harry is doing pretty well, so the AI controlling the game decides to make the task a bit more difficult. It projects a scene where Harry is now in a hotel lobby. He has to figure out which of the lobby guys won't help him with his luggage. It's definitely the guy in the middle. If you look closely, the guy is transparent, which means he's probably a ghost. He can't touch physical stuff, so he won't be able to help Harry. suddenly the weekend in this virtual reality, and Harry is taken to a cabin in the mountains. There are 4 friends waiting for his arrival. They have a fun time, but at the end of the weekend, the cabin catches fire. One of his friends did it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It's the third guy to the right. He has a tiny gasoline bottle hanging from his belt. Harry suddenly appears in what looks like a wedding ceremony and discovers he's the one getting married. 2 women appear in front of him. They are dressed the same, but they both have their faces covered with veils. He needs to figure out who his true bride is. Can you help him out here? They look identical, but one of them already has a wedding ring. This can only mean that his true bride is the other lucky gal. For his next challenge, he's taken to a restaurant where a waitress shows him 4 glasses. Each glass is filled with the same liquid, water, and has an object inside of it. The waitress asks Harry which glass has more water than the rest. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out the correct answer? This shouldn't be too hard. The last glass is the one that has more water inside. The paperclip weighs almost nothing, while the other objects are way heavier. This means there is less water in all the other glasses. Harry's doing great thanks to you. Now look at this image. There are 3 people about to parachute out of an airplane. Help Harry figure out who is in graver danger here. It's the first 2 people. You see, there's a heavy bottle in the last guy's backpack. If it falls down, it can break the other's parachutes. Uh-oh. Harry's stomach starts to growl after so much hard work, so he asks for some food. The AI controlling the game decides to create 2 chefs to bake him 2 different cakes. But here's the catch. Only one is safe to eat. Take a look at both of these delicious-looking cakes. Which one is safe? If you have a sharp eye, you'll know that the chef on the left is a fake, so you shouldn't eat his cake. The left chef has stains all over his shirt that look like blood. Plus, he doesn't have a badge on his shirt. He has a scratch over his eye, and he's hiding a syringe in his hand behind his back. There are just too many red flags here. Harry should go for the cake on the right. Well, it's time to take a nap, and Harry is taken to an old house. There are 3 rooms for him to choose from. Take a look at the picture. Which one should he choose? Well, so you see the hidden scenarios behind the curtains in the first room? That's a big no-no. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that, so he should definitely pick the second room. To sweeten things up a bit, Harry was enrolled into a baking competition. He was introduced to 3 judges, and they each told Harry what their favorite cake was. The first judge expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge number 2 said he loved berry pies more than anything in the world. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies, also pronounced pecan. Harry immediately knew one of them was lying. Can you tell who? It was judge number 2. Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That could only mean he was enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. Harry needs to enter a new realm of the game. And for that, he needs to go through what looks like an airport. He didn't have any luggage with him, but he still needed to go through a security check. He went through the scanner, but he beeped every time he passed through it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what was making him beep so much? It was the necklace chain dangling from the pocket of his jacket. Good eye if you spotted that. Passing through the different realms, Harry spotted a nice bakery and decided to stop for some more nourishment. There were 3 options to choose from: a cupcake, a chocolate croissant, and a gingerbread cookie. Can you guess which one he picked? You don't need to be a genius to see that Harry is using gingerbread cookie socks. He loves them so much, which is why that's his usual pick. Harry arrived at the gate of the new realm, and there were 2 creatures guarding it, a lion and a unicorn. There was a little sign saying that the lion lied on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and that the unicorn lied on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Harry asked to get inside, and the lion said he needed to answer one of the riddles. He told Harry that he lied yesterday, and the unicorn said he also lied yesterday. Can you help Harry figure out which day of the week was yesterday? Well, let's see how this works. From what the magical creatures said, they were both lying on the same day. So the only possible answer to this riddle is Saturday. If we consider yesterday was Saturday, that means the lion was telling the truth and the unicorn was lying. Finally, Harry completed all of his tasks and was allowed to go back home. Which of the 3 doors should Harry choose to get back home? Well, let's see. He should choose the door in the middle. It has a house emoji on it, which will probably take Harry directly back to the comfort of his home.